days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
Funding entrepreneurs, specifically keeping the black dollar in the black community. Let me explain. If I want to eat, I have to give my money to the Albanians at Coney Island. If you want to get gas, you need to go to the Chaldeans. If you want to have your hair look like mine, you got to go to Asians. And I thank God for Asians. My wife is right there. She's Asian. Our children are Blasian. So I give it up to my Asian brothers and sisters. But we don't keep the black dollar in the black community. You're an entrepreneur. What does it look like for black entrepreneurs to be able to get the resources they need so we don't look for a handout, but a hand up?
Yes. And you know, and we talk about this, you have a lot of dollars in the black community and they don't keep it. I think one of the biggest problems that I see is the crime. They have to stop the crime. If they stop the crime, you're going to see more and more stores sprout. And we're losing them in other communities too, where there's crime. You see empty stores, you see them all over. They see big stores they moved in 10 years ago. They spent millions of dollars to build it and now they're leaving. And these are not necessarily black communities. In many cases, they're not at all. But where there's crime, there's empty stores and you don't keep the money. So I think the biggest thing we can do is stop the crime. We're going to stop the crime. We have to let people feel free and be able to walk outside and not even think about being mugged or hit or shot or anything. And, you know, one of the examples, I see the love in this church. It's incredible what you've done. You've done an incredible job. I would like to ask if you could final out with a prayer. Is that okay? I don't want to get you by surprise here because this was not.
Okay. All right. Oh, Jesus. Literally. Welcome back. It's the Karen Hunter Show. Dr. Black is here. That was the voice of 34 and counting. And he was at a church called 180, the 180 Church. I get the concept. Apparently, people called Shauna Renee this morning and let her know that this is a black church, but it only has like 7 members, and mostly his family, on a given Sunday. On this particular Saturday, Donald Trump showed up. It's being reported that this entire Blacks for Trump event at this church was staged. I'm shocked. The campaign decided to put the usual black supporters that travel to Trump events at this one. Now, it also coincided with Charlie Kirk's event. He had an event there. So there was buses bussed in of mostly white people. So if you pan the audience at this 180 church, it was mostly white. I guess Lorenzo Sewell, the pastor, his wife, who's Asian, and his Blasian children. But this was not a black congregation that he was talking to. I find it highly insulting that his response to how do we keep more black dollars in the black community to be cracked down on crime. But he's telling you two things. First of all, he believes black communities are overridden with crime, which is not true. Detroit's not even in the top 10, neither is Chicago. Anchorage, Alaska is. There are a whole lot of majority so-called white communities that are in the top 10 in terms of crime. But this is gaslighting that somehow, and then he talks about big businesses. That's not helping the black community. If you're talking about Walmart or Target, or as was talked about this morning, those dollars are not going to black people.
That's right.
We have the Rite Aids and the CVS's, and those aren't going to black people. The businesses are in our community, which is why people have no problem burning it down when they're rioting, because those aren't our stores. Right. When I was watching the Stacks docu-series during the riots, if it said Soul Brother on the, they put signs out, Soul Brother, black owned, those businesses did not get touched because they were in the Stax Records did not get touched during the riots. Motown did not get touched because that was part of the community. We don't touch our community.
That's right.
But people get to come in to our community and take the dollars out. This man Donald Trump has no answer for that because he doesn't see us as human. He doesn't see us as worthy. He doesn't see us at all. Only through the lens of racism. He's infected with it. And that this man could sit there, and I'm going to read a little bit, Dr. Black. Lorenzo Sewell, he's the senior pastor at 180 Church. It says Lorenzo Sewell was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. He grew up in a physically and verbally abusive home. This is his bio, by the way. High school was a challenge emotionally with his father going to prison and his young brother being killed. What kind of trope? And I'm not saying this is not his experience, but why is it that these are the type of people that Trump attracts?
Right.
As a result, Lorenzo became heavily involved in drugs and drug dealing, ultimately becoming a gang leader. Through his life, though his life started rough, God had great plans for Lorenzo. And on April 18th, 1999, during his senior year at Fraser High School, he had a Damascus Road encounter with Christ that set his heart on fire, and he became a servant and blah, blah, blah. And it goes on. But you're taking money from somebody.
Right.
And you're to turn your church over as a farce. This is a deception.
It's insanity.
Dr. Black, thoughts and prayers.
Yes, it's an insanity. The first thing that I think is so profound here is Donald Trump. Why would you go to a black church, period?
Stay there for a second. Why do you need blacks for Trump?
That's right.
Are there blacks for Biden? Do we have those signs? Blacks for Obama? What?
And Trump, it's not enough black folks who there are black folks who want Trump. We know that, but it's not enough of them, right? For you to actually make your way to a black church to spend time there. All of this is politics. All of this is politics because also Trump, if you're thinking that you can sway the black vote by going to a black church, sir, you're about 55 years behind time. That might have been, and that was true in the 1950s. But sir, that's not true anymore. Number one. Number two, that I think is so incredibly important. And that is, if you're going to go to a black, you went to one in Detroit? Sir, you don't know the history of Detroit and black people and music. Like, sir, you couldn't have gone to a church that had 20 members.
But see, the fact that we're talking about it, Dr. Black, and I struggle with this. We're being gaslit in real time.
That's right.
And what Trump understands about marketing is that there's no bad press. If we're talking about it, and it's the same philosophy as Stephen A. If you're talking about me, I've won. If you're clicking it, there's a young lady, as was mentioned this morning on TikTok, using the N-word, but you've gotten her 1 million clicks. So if you're talking about this, then you've won because now it's in the news. And there's some people out there. See what I'm saying? There's some people out there that don't know the difference. So it must be blacks for Trump. If we're talking about it, it must be a black church because no media outlet has said this was not a black church. I didn't see any headlines. They all called it a black church full of white people.
Full of white people. Isn't that crazy?
And not that white people can't go to a black church, because there are a lot of white people that go to Creflo Dollar. There's a lot because they pay in the audience. A lot of black people go.
But it ain't the majority of the church.
Church is a church, right? But to a historically black church with a handful of black people in it, and the whole congregation is white that been busted, that's a lie.
Yeah.
So the media needs to do a better job of characterizing what we're actually viewing.
Absolutely.
Which is a farce.
Absolutely.
But our responsibility in talking about it, I so struggle with it because that they got us now. Because it's so ridiculous. And again, Trump knows the more ridiculous, the easier it is to keep the lie going.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.